Hello, welcome to Dangerfield Sunday Prescription. Oh, is it Sunday? Did I get it out on time? Are you going to stop hassling me via the email? What a pleasure. Oh, are we back on track? Yes, we are. We're on YouTube, and this is the second Sunday on the trot. It's, well, I'm saying that. I'm only just recording it. All sorts of things could happen. A drone could take me down from the ether. Oh, imagine. Maybe not, though. I feel I'll get this out. Before we start, though, a little bit of feedback. I like to engage with my listeners. And this bloke wrote to me. I put a post up on Facebook saying, listen to my Sunday prescription, you'll like it, or something like that. And he put this comment, influence factor, 0 out of 10. Right? Influence factor. You have no idea what that is, do you? No, me neither. It's not surprising. So I said to him, yeah, thanks for listening. What's that? Doesn't sound too good. He. This is what he said. It's like when you make Russell Brand-like podcasts to impress your friends, but no one gives a shit because you're a junkie whore. There you go. So, if you know anyone who gives or does Russell Brand-like podcasts and to impress their friends and no one gives a shit because they're a junkie whore, all you got to say to them is go, yeah, influence factor 0 out of 10 more like. Yeah, I've taught you something there. So thanks for that, whatever your name is, can't remember. I do remember your face, though. It looked a little bit like someone had tried to squeeze Miss Piggy into a pint glass. So I hope you enjoy that. Here we are. What a day. Only a few days ago, Paris went up in bombs and flames and all sorts, and everyone on Facebook has got their tricolour to show. I don't know what that shows. They know that that's a French flag. And I've been getting in a little bit of trouble on the social networks. I said this. I said something like this. I said, okay, so a little bit of a bigger war has come to Europe. And that is sad, But there's people elsewhere who have this every day of their lives. You know, this is just a little bit of it that's come to our doorstep. And it's all very well going, oh, and it is really sad, oh, but this is people's daily lives in other parts of the world. They live in this permanent war that no doubt Western governments are part of. And are we complicit? That's another argument. Are we democratic? Because if we're democratic, we're complicit. If we're not complicit, you have to argue how democratic we are. And if we're not if we're not demographs, well, no one can ever use us to sell stuff to us. You see my point. No one needs to be killed, though. That's awful. And anyone the world over who has suffered what is essentially a larger political problem, they assume that I have your face on my Facebook profile. I can't get you all in. So a strange and a sombre introduction to what is going to be the usual shite. Did you notice what intro music I did? Power to the people. Citizen Smith, of course, the wonderful Citizen Smith. I can't even talk. Weird when you're doing a podcast and not be able to talk. Citizen Smith there. John Sullivan wrote, I used to love it. Absolutely loved it as a kid. That was on, I think, late 70s, early 80s. And when it come on, I just loved it. And the truth is, I don't know why I loved it, because I had no idea what it was about. Not a clue. And I've talked to friends about this, and I'm sure it might be the case with you. No way, how old would I have been? Let's say it went out in 1970, 80, for argument's sake. It's got to be around there. So I am 8 years old at that time. I don't know what the revolution is. I don't know what socialism is. I don't even know what a citizen is. I don't know what this program's about. I just thought it was this bloke who wore a furry kind of coat and a beret and was angry about everything, and lots of women in his life laughed at him. That was it. That's what it was. But that was enough to get me there. There was this sort of the endless contradiction that, he'd say something like, it's going to happen tomorrow. And so one of the ladies will go, yeah, but how many people? And they'd go, well, 4 if Freddie the plumber turns up. And then the audience goes, ah! And I knew why that was funny, because obviously he had dreams of it being huge, and it was just just the three people. See, people tend to exaggerate when measuring their revolution and penises. That's one thing I've learned. Especially that whole thing there, it's not a misunderstanding, it's ignorance, isn't it? I'm just moving the microphone, you didn't need to know that, but it might have gone and I wanted you to know that I wasn't a bad producer. Me not be bad producer, me don't produce me bad. Yeah. The young ones, that I didn't know what a student was then. I didn't grow up in a student town. No one in my family was students. And so when I saw the young ones, and absolutely loved it, to the extent that my mother got me the book for Christmas, the young ones book. And I loved it. I carried it around with me. I'd read it over and over again. I knew it off by heart. I could still probably give you whole sections of that book. I remember one thing that always got me when Vivian used to refer to Rick as being spelled, or no, as I don't know whether it's spelled or said, but Rick with a silent P. It tickled me then, it tickles me now. I still use it all the time. I say all the time, I don't live in a world full of Ricks, but I do live in a world full of Ricks with a silent P. But if I do meet someone called Rick, I'll always look at my nearer friend and go, with a silent P. But I didn't know what a student was. I didn't know that they were meant to be students, and it didn't matter. I don't think children necessarily need the context as much as adults. For example, when I watch the Magic Roundabout or Chorlton and the Wheelies, I don't really need too much information on context. I didn't watch the Magic Roundabout and go, yeah, but hang on, where do they live? Why haven't they got jobs? I mean, what does Dougal do for a living? That don't make sense. Who's sewing up their trousers? Intrude? That's not a normal name. Surely there should be ostracised. A she, he? Is it a man? Don't know. Doesn't matter when you're a kid, and it was the same with the young ones. Absolutely loved it, but didn't know they were students, which is kind of, as an adult, it's kind of what makes it funny. I think the context is key, but as a very young child, 10, 11, 12 maybe, I didn't realise, I didn't know that. Isn't that strange? And it was only when I became a student myself at around age 16 that I suddenly thought, oh, I get it. They were meant to be doing something, but that something was being a student, and being a student doesn't require you to do much. I had the luxury, and it was a luxury, of studying art and then going on to do cultural studies. So really, I had a real DOS. It was I lived all four young one characters in one. I guess that's the postmodern condition. I mean, we've all got a bit of Rick and Vivian and Neil and Mike. Mike doesn't really count though, does he? Let's be honest. Who would care if we lived time again and Mike wasn't in the young ones? No one cares, really. No one cares at all. Unnecessary, no great lines, no, oh, Mike, you were great. It was all about Rick, Vivian and Neil. When Neil done, there's a hole in my shoe that's letting in water. No thanks, Neil, we don't like it. When all of the young ones teamed up with Cliff Richard to do Living Doll, no, that wasn't necessary. And all part of the general undoing of what I call the young ones phenomena. Interestingly, my mate, the one I go on about a lot on here, I'm trying to get him on to tell some of his stories, but he's a lazy fucker, and he's just lazy. That's it. But he lived in the house in Brixton that Ben Elton based the young ones on. How about that then? Yeah. I don't know why I suddenly went, how's about that then, eh? Oh, Jimmy Savile. That hasn't got the same ring to it. Don't say ring when you mention Jimmy Savile, because you know it'll be greasy. Yeah, so interesting. A friend of mine lived in that house. Not that interesting, I suppose. I was with a mate the other day. Well, I say mate, it was the first time I've met him outside of a comedy gig situation. But he's good friends with Ben Elton, actually. And, yeah, that's nothing, is it? That's an empty... Yeah, he knows Ben Elton. Used to love Ben Elton. Do you remember Saturday Night Live? Absolutely loved it. It just, again, didn't get it. You know, I was growing up in Thatcher's England, but when Ben Elton was on there talking about all that stuff, I didn't get it. Didn't know. But he had a spangly suit on, and he had that sort of, Margaret Thatcher, I'll tell you what. And I'd never seen anything like that. I mean, I'll tell a lie, kind of the American stand-up tradition's got a bit more of that, but English, it's I never liked Monty Python, and I'd go as far as to say I hated Monty Python. A lot of my friends at college loved it, and I just watched it, and it was all a little bit middle class for me. I don't like people in silly outfits going, Ooh, there's a spaghetti on my boo. No. Not laughing at that. Morecambe and Wise, they talk about them as comedy greats. Unfunny. I don't like it. It's unfunny. That you might find it funny. Someone else might. Clearly they did. Not for me. But when Ben Elton turned up, let me tell you, I've got to get... He didn't even talk like that, did he? I don't even... I can't even remember. I've suddenly turned him. Did he talk like that? I don't know. Is that bad? Is that bad? That's a terrible impression of Ben Elton, isn't it? He used to do a load of stuff about getting on the train in the morning. I remember he says, I did get on the train and it's like, double seat. I've got to get a double seat. And I'd never even been on a train on my own at that age, but I still laughed because he was going, double seat. I've got to get a double seat. Margaret Thatcher. God, I have really embarrassed myself there. We used to play that game, me and a few mates, where you have to do impressions of people who'd been impersonated a lot. Yeah? So we'd all sit round and the reason that's funny and awkward and humiliating is when you're asked to do an impression of someone who's had a lot of impersonations of them done, Rick Mail, weirdly Rick from The Young Ones, it's sort of both character and actor, Margaret Thatcher, Janet Street Porter, all that lot, the people like Faith Brown does. Faith Brown's a weird one. She's that female impersonator, but isn't there another one, Janet Brown, who's also an impersonator? I don't know. It's kind of all mixes up then. The 80s is a bit like that, isn't it? All sort of becomes one big snowball of oddness. But all those people that have been impersonated a lot, when you do an impersonation of them, you will tend to do an impersonation of the impersonation, and that's why it's embarrassing and humiliating when you're asked to do it, because it exposes the fact that you've heard Douglas Hurd talk more on Spitting Image than you have in real life. You've watched more Spitting Image than you have This Week in Parliament. Obviously. Douglas Hurd was a weird one, wasn't he? That was the old joke with Spitting Image, I remember. Do you remember Douglas Hurd on there? He had that sort of ice cream haircut. It was like one of those nice Mr. Whippy ice creams haircuts. And I remember seeing him on telly, and my brother said, look, there's the bloke from Spitting Image. What a reversal of facts. No, there's the bloke who is a minister. But no, that's the man from Spitting Image. Funny times. So, what I need to deal with, and I'm sure you're all waiting with bated breath. Don't know what that means. What can that mean? Possibly mean Scarfgate. Right, I need to have a quick tug on my vape here before I get onto Scarfgate. So have a little bit of time to yourself. Have a bit of time to yourself. Do you want time to yourself? Do you want time to yourself? Do you want time to yourself? So, if you don't know, let me just make sure this is recording. I haven't got... Right. Scarfgate. 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 So, this is what happened. A girlfriend once bought me a beautiful, lovely cashmere scarf. Cost about £250. Never had anything like it. Loved it. Wrapped my neck in it. Loved it. Wrapped my neck in it. Gorgeous. Lost it. Not used to having luxurious scarves, so I didn't realise I'd have put it down. And I got warm wherever I was when I put it down. Walked out. We've all lost a scarf, but £250. Ouch. Girlfriend, being wonderful, said, I'll tell you what, I'll get you another one. Don't lose it. Oh my God. Imagine that. The second time. I will not lose this. Didn't lose it. Days go by. Didn't lose it. Weeks go by. Didn't lose it. Months go by. Didn't lose it. Years go by. I lost it. Gutted. So I thought, hang on, this isn't right. I've been quite ill this last couple of weeks. Well, this last few decades. I haven't been many places. So let's go. Get receipts. Check texts. Look at emails. Triangulate my destination. Triangulate my history. And I did. I made like a matrix of possible places. Where have I been? Here. I'd done every day. Right, Monday, where did I go? Tuesday. Wednesday. Everywhere I'd been. Right, where would I have worn that scarf? Here. So I ended up, I had a few places left. I went to Jay Shiki's fish restaurant. Did I leave my scarf here? No. Went to the gym. Did I leave my scarf here? No. A few other places. No, no, no. And then suddenly I got to a restaurant that I'd been to on my own. And I remember talking to the waitress because I went round there in a pair of shorts, sandals and a scarf. And it was quite cold. I remember leaving my house without a scarf on and thinking, yeah, I know I've got shorts and sandals on, but put a scarf on. And I remember talking to her about it and her saying, well, I can see you wearing a scarf, the waitress did, but you've got sandals on. I don't know how it's going to work. And I said, yeah, but I only live round the corner. And she went, oh, that's all right, and I get it. And I thought, no way, it's got to be there. So I walked round there, just round the corner, walked in, didn't have to say a word. The waitress immediately recognised me. I'd been in there a few times, but she immediately recognised me. She walked up to me and she went, I've got your scarf. And I went fucking mad. You know that incredible relief? I was going, like moving my hands near her as if say if you weren't a waitress I'd be cuddling you now and going thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Not just the sentimental value, but also a fucking nice scarf. And I just was over the moon. I was so happy. And I was saying to her, I'm so glad. And then she called over the manager and she said, oh yeah, do you remember I gave you that this customer's scarf? And the manager looked a bit sus. You can just tell that. Now, I know in a court of law that counts a fuck, right? But we do have intuition. We do learn to read people's body language. We do learn how to read what's being said when nothing is being said. You know, all that sort of stuff. And even the waitress sort of had a weird look at me. And it was, you know, there was like a little pregnant pause. And then the manager said, what scarf? And again, it all went weird. And the waitress said, well, you know, I said that this gentleman left his scarf and he left it on his table. And she went, hang on, I'll go and have a look for it. She walked off and I said to the waitress, I went, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? I went, is that your manager? She went, yeah. I went, oh. I said, well, anyway, look, thank you for sorting it out. Of course, manager comes back empty-handed. And now I'm gutted. Because I was gutted about losing the scarf, but to be raised up and told that they had it, to then be dropped back down with a hideous thud, it was awful. But now, of course, I'm suspicious. And she comes back and she says, nah, we haven't got it. And I look at the waitress and the waitress says, but it was left on your table. I said, well, you don't need to tell me that. I'm just wondering where it is. The manager has a look in a cupboard under the drawer, pulls out some tatty old poly, like 50% viscose, 50% I ain't ever wearing it. And she said, yeah, is this it? And I went, no, that's not my scarf. She went, oh. And then again, a massive, weird, awkward pause. And the whole pause, it reeked of someone's nicked your scarf. And I'm telling you, it's the sort of scarf, if you found it, you'd nick it. It's lovely, lovely, beautiful, black and grey, sort of checked wool, cashmere. Jeeves and Hawkes says it on it. Bastards. And I said, look, here, I'll give you my number. If it turns up, give me a bell. And I thought maybe when they have another look, when they're not, you know, dealing with covers and the restaurants in action, open, that it's probably hard for them. Maybe after work they'll be able to find it and they'll give me a ring. Of course, nothing came through on the phone. Absolutely gutted. Someone's nicked it. Can't be sure, but, you know, what are you thinking in that situation? Yeah, me too. So, next day, I email them and tell them the whole story. I don't hear anything from them. So I email them again saying, did you get my email? Blah, blah. They write back to me and they're like, oh, thanks for being a regular customer. Sorry about your scarf, but we ain't got it. That's it. They ain't got it. If I'd have walked in there and had to have gone up to him and said, have you got my scarf? And one of them has said, no worries, end of. But the fact she come up to me and said, I've got your scarf, you know, she found it on my table after I left and then they haven't got it, not having it. So then I mobilised my Facebook friends and I said, look, I've just written on their Facebook page about what happened with my scarf. If you could just pop over there and add a few words, that would be good. And I'll tell you what, fair play to you lot, it went crazy. They didn't see that coming. It was a barrage of, where's his scarf? You've nicked it, you cunts. And people were saying really heavy things like, well, if you paid your staff a decent wage, they wouldn't have to steal customers' scarves. Honestly, about 20, 30 people, and then they would try and reply. And in the end, someone, whoever it was, had to deal with the Facebook side website was going, look, I'm a person too. I'm sorry about your scarf, but we don't know where it is. And it went mental. Then I took a picture of me off to a business meeting wearing an Arsenal scarf, looking all forlorn as if my life had collapsed because I I had to go into a meeting with a football partisan number on, all this stuff. It went crazy. And then I was going, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? I said, I'll go on Twitter next, and I've got history of Twitter. I've taken out Ben and Jerry's, I've taken out Gordon's cereal, and had a result with all of them, because my business account, my lockpicking business account, has about 50,000 followers. My personal account has over 10,000 followers. And as soon as they see your followers, they kick into action. And I said on Facebook, sort it out or I'll be on Twitter by morning. It's great these days that you have got that kind of, there is a bit of a right, you've got a right and a space to reply, and you can say, I wasn't going to say anything nasty, and I even put on the Facebook wall, the service and food in that restaurant has been great, I love it, but someone's robbed my scarf. In the end, I get a phone call from the owner of the business. To me, that's a result. They start off by just flinging me an email going, we ain't getting your scarf, and I get the owner ringing me up. In terms of being able to make that contact, I thought, brilliant, I've had a result there. So I've set up a microphone, I've recorded the phone call with this woman. It went on for 48 minutes, and I'll tell you what, she did not have a leg to stand on. She was terrified, she was throwing in all these mad logical fallacies. She got me to admit, this is what she reckons happened. She's saying that I've left my scarf on my table and left, right? A customer has put their scarf on my table and picked up mine by accident, right? That's what she said happened. And I said, that could have happened. I admit that could have happened. I said, equally, can you say that one of your staff has stolen it? That equally could have happened. And she wouldn't. She was saying no. And I was like, you're off your head. Of course that could have happened. And anyway, her final point was, she was saying, I'm not going to replace your scarf because it'll set a precedent. I said, no, it fucking wouldn't. What, how many people have left things in your restaurant? Staff have found them and then they've gone missing. And she went, never. I went, well, it's not really a precedent, is it? I said, you're choosing not to replace my scarf. That's how you're choosing to deal with this. I said to her, I went, this could all be over if you just replaced my scarf. And she was going, you're threatening me now. She went, why are you going to ruin my business? Now, I'll be honest with you though, when I listened back to the recording, I was harsh. I intellectually bullied her. I did. She was, I was picking her up on logical fallacies. I was being very meticulous about her language, and I just bullied her. And when I got off and I was all ready to get on Twitter and do this campaign, I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to get my scarf back. That's not happening. All that's happening now is I'm causing her business hassle. And I know how hard it is to have a business. They're not a massive corporation. Maybe if it was someone like McDonald's, I'd have ploughed in. But they're not. They're a little independent business, and that's all right. And I just thought, nah, do the wise thing. Some of you may argue, maybe I should have gone for it. But maybe when I was a bit younger I would have done. But I thought, do I need this hassle, really? I didn't like the sound of myself on the recording, to be honest with you. I was a bit of an arsehole. And I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And weirdly, even though I told her I recorded it and told her it would be on my podcast and told her I'd be on Twitter and all that, her voice was trembling at one point. Not through anger, but through, she was just sort of scared, maybe. It was awful. And I just thought, no. So I emailed her and I said, listen, I've taken all that off of Facebook, because when I take the original comment off, everyone's comments go. I said, that's gone. It won't be in my podcast. I haven't mentioned them, have I? And what I mean is I won't be trying to get people to get back on Twitter or Facebook. I said, good luck with your business, don't worry about it. And that was the end of it. I think probably for the best, really. So, friend of mine and comedian extraordinaire Trevor Locke, if you don't know him, look him up. Fucking fantastic. Great bloke as well. He said to me, listen, you're the only person who does a one-take, no-editing podcast on your Jack Jones. And I thought, you know what, I am. He said, why don't you make more of that? No one else is doing that. He said, very few people can do that. He said, I couldn't remember the word. How ironic. I was trying to say I'll just ramble on, but I couldn't remember the words, suggesting that I just rambled off. Did you like it when I rambled off? Did you like it when I rambled off? Did you like it when I rambled? Do you ever ramble off? Do flies ramble off? Is there a featureless lake in your history? Do you turn mirrors inwards to protect you from Grandma? Are the seeds of your fortune approaching your birthright? Do you like bricks the frog side up? Are you a painter? Have you ever pressed the knees of a awkward darling? Do too many tadpoles make a frog like a transformer might? Are you friends with gas and electricity? Have you got 40p in credit? So, Trevor said, you ramble on, unedited, with no one else there to help you, make a feature of it. So this is me making a feature of it. Welcome to Dangerfield Sunday Prescription, the only podcast in the whole fucking world where I ramble on, unedited, with no friends to help me. That's a lie, actually. I'm going to give Richard Griffiths a call right now. Only because he was quite good last time, wasn't he? But, nonetheless, bear that in mind. It's quite an hard task that I do here, and I do love it that you listen. It makes it worth happening. I know you're only doing it because I know you don't give a shit because I'm a junkie whore, but nonetheless, I have used sex to procure coinage in the past, so he's not wrong. Can't give him that. Let's see what Richard's got to say. Obviously, he might not answer it again, but let's see. Richard Griffiths from the call centre. Richard!
Hola.
How are you?
Is that Christopher?
It's Christopher, yes.
Hi. How are you?
I'm alright, so how are you on this weekend?
Oh, it's been a tough weekend, isn't it? For all of us.
That's it?
Yeah, no, I'm alright. Yeah, good.
And what have you been up to? Sunday night?
I went to the Christmas parade earlier with my daughter. That was not as good as last year.
No?
So that was a good sign. I'll tell you what was funny though, right? Father Christmas, yeah?
Yep.
Didn't have a hat on. You know, Father Christmas, he's usually like, I've got a hat on, he's got his hood up for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This particular Father Christmas, he just had like the coat and the trousers, big beard, white hair, no hat. He just looked like a fucking hippie.
Well, it could have been. Maybe someone complained and said, with what's going on with your hoodies and that, if Father Christmas was to have his hood up, he might maybe steal your stereo or something, or sell you crack.
Possibly, yeah. It could be hoodie related. I don't know. I thought it may have been just sort of, I don't know, some sort of gesture, you know, for victims in Paris.
Right.
Maybe he had a white berry on, but I couldn't see it because of his white hair. Now,
I'm assuming you went to see Father Christmas's parade because you had a child with you, or did you just go on your own?
Yeah, no, I took my youngest child.
Now, did your youngest child notice that Daddy Crimbo was hoodless?
Well, I sort of pointed it out to her, do you know what I mean? And she's only 4, so maybe she thinks, you know, sometimes he wears it, sometimes he don't. Do you know what I mean? She hasn't got the sort of experience I got of these matters.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did make a point of saying to her, well, I'd actually shouted at him as he went past, "Where's your hat?"
You can't.
And she sort of conveniently ignored.
Okay. Okay, what do you want to leave us with this week, Richard?
Well, you know, just love all the people and love all the people one by one.
Is that the same? Is that the same as have sex with them?
Well, no, not necessarily. No, you can't have sex with all the people because
but equally
you're going to end up on a rape charge soon enough, aren't you?
But equally, you can't love them all one by one.
Well, yeah, you can. Of course, you can. As you're meeting them, you know, I'm not on about sort of let's all pretend. No, I'm on about in real life. Walk down the street, see somebody. I love that person.
All right.
See the next, but don't sit in your house trying to think of people that you can. Oh yeah, I love them. I love them.
Okay, well look. Okay, well Richard. Here's your chance. Stop talking. Stop talking, please. Can you? I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to love the listeners then.
Oh, well, all of them?
Yeah.
This will take a while now.
Well, just as a group.
Right, well, the one I want to love is the one who was dissing me on Facebook, so he can go and love himself up the ass. But rest of you out there, thanks for tuning in, both of you. Cheers,
That's right.
Come back next week.
I think you actually could love all my listeners one by one in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, probably the way I go about my business.
All right, Richard, look after yourself and respect to the Welsh.
Pray for Paris.
Well, there you go. So I was saying that I don't have people on, but Richard has appeared twice now, which goes against everything I stand for. Pray for the French. Pray for Paris. I don't get it. What we all need is political solutions, not superstitious hogwash. Well, if you are praying, if you find yourself praying for Paris, ask yourself this. That means you believe in God. If you believe in God, then Paris was part of God's plan. He sanctioned it, he planned it, he made it happen. So if you do believe in God and you are praying, you're a bit late. So why don't you pray tonight and say, listen, God, why don't you quit all the bombing and quit all the shooting? You need to get in there a bit earlier. That's what I'm saying. So I have this, one of the people who listens to this podcast calls himself Helmut von Diggle. Helmut von Diggle. And I promised him during the week, I don't know how he got to it, but I promised that I would tell the story of the two girls in 1 week with broken arms who both shit in my mouth. So I'm going to wrap this podcast up with this rather hideous story. It's the story of the girls with the broken arms who put shit in my mouth. So I'm quite young. Well, I'm not anymore, but I was. I think I was about 24 and it was a Saturday. I thought, go down to boozer, cause some trouble. Maybe mop up some drunk girls. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I've gone down there, a few lagers, a bit of weed out the back. Maybe a bit of sulphate. Here we go. And at the end of the night, there was this girl and she had her arm in plaster, but she was still hot. She was very hot. If you could sort of filter out the broken arm, which alcohol's very good at. I mean, I've filtered out a lot in my time. I've ended up with my penis in some very nasty things just because of alcohol filters, which makes alcohol a very democratic drug, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of women have had the same filters when indulging myself, but there you go. So anyway, hello, yeah, no, I like your arm, I'd like to draw on your arm, can I write my name on it? I'd prefer to write my name on your inside leg in spunk, to be honest with you. So anyway, we end up at home, and we're sort of doing the kiss and cuddles, and it's all nice. I say home, my mother's house, mum's upstairs in bed, and we're sort of, it's all sort of sexy. Well, of course it is, it's sexy. It's sex, that's why it's sexy. And we're doing it, and we end up in the sort of 69 position, which I don't find that sexy. It's all a little bit like sort of yoga, isn't it? I don't want to have to do that. Oh, mind, you can just, if you just put, it's not really me, but sex isn't really me. It's about us, isn't it? Not me and you, but me and whoever at the time. So, I realise there's compromise, and who knows, I might like it. If we always done what I like doing, then I'd only ever do what I like doing, and I'd never know what other people like doing. And it's got to be dialectic, hasn't it, the pair of us? So I agree. I didn't disagree, but it wasn't, she didn't say, right, can we assume the 69 position? She sort of just started moving round, and her knees sort of nearly took my head off, come round, and I sort of understood what was happening. So she sort of, and I was all going on. But I could feel the cast on her right arm sort of right on, just under my kneecap. Ow. You know the bit that you can hit and you can get a reflex action where your foot goes up. You know the one? I'm doing it now. Unhelpfully, I'm doing it now. But if you cross one leg over the other and strike yourself, there you go, strike yourself below the knee, your knee flicks up. It's a reflex. And she's right on it, and sort of she's leaning half of her weight on it. Well, I didn't have a protractor and a set of compasses. It might have been a quarter, a third, a fifth, or an eighth, but a lot of her weight. And she wasn't a particularly big girl, but a human is a lot of weight, especially to be put on plaster on my knee. So I've sort of all that going on. She's all that going on, and I can feel this knee, and I can feel my penis slowly fading because I'm focusing on my leg. I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm trying to move my knee out the way, and look at what the amount of things you're trying to do. Isn't it weird? They design these robots to like hit a play snooker and that. But look at what you need to do. I'm having to perform cunnilingus to a fair quality. I'm having to receive fellatio at the other end. I'm also trying to negotiate elbow cast on knee. I'm also trying to keep quiet and keep her quiet. Cock in mouth, not that difficult, but because my mum's upstairs. So many weird things going on, but the pain is agonising, and I'm trying to sort of take the weight off it, and I'm swerving my body, but she's misinterpreting it as ecstasy, and I'm like, and then suddenly I don't know what she'd done, but she sort of banged down. It sort of, she just put all her weight on that thing, and it cracked under my knee. It felt like it had snapped something, and my response is just a buck. I've just bucked up, and my pelvic region is just about a foot forward. Of course, that's caused penis to go right into her throat, right? This all, like, what the next sort of minute explanation happened in like a flash. I've just clicked my fingers on the bit where the lemons cut my hand off and it hurt. But so so see it, right? So it's got too much. Suddenly it's gone crack on it. My pelvis has shot up. Penis shot up. Penis in her throat. Her neck has responded. She's pulled back. Her body has done a peristaltic wave. I've seen the whole thing come towards me, and at the last minute I've looked up and I've seen her one little brown bum anus eye, and it's gone and done a shit on me. Can you see that happening in one phase? Plaster on knee. Buck. Cock, throat, belly, retract, recoil, power, in stomach, push. I look up, it winks at me and does a little shit on my face. Watery shit. The sort of shit you'd expect of a woman who'd had 9 pints of beer and a kebab. Not a lot, I'm not pretending I was covered, but it was more shit than you'd want. You know how much shit you want? 0. Unless you're into shit. There might be someone listening who likes that sort of stuff, but for me, it was just a little bit of creamy shit on the face. And of course, I had to stop. I stopped. I said, sorry. I wasn't as gross as said, you've just shit on my face. I just covered my face, went to the bathroom, cleaned it off with bleach, and went back in and went, you got to go, yeah, mum's waking up, and just sort of told her to go home and said, I'm sorry, I'm mental, which was kind of me, really. I could have said, you've just done a shit on my face, man. But okay, so that happened on the Saturday night. All weekend, of course, I'm just... Can anyone else smell shit? So, it gets to the Monday after that weekend, and weirdly, imagine being 24, this was when you went out all the time, and I was spending a lot of time in a squat in Bethnal Green. I was really living there. I was at my mum's, just to see some friends that night. So, I'm in Bethnal Green 4 days after that, and I'm out in Soho, full of sulphate. All right, girls, Soho House, yeah, French House, yeah, down Jerry's, yeah, loving it, all going on. And I'm weirdly, out of nowhere, I find myself chatting up this girl, which is quite normal. It's what people do. However, she's got an arm in plaster. And I'm thinking, hang on, this is odd. It's easy to be a megalomaniac when coincidences are thrown at you like this. And I'm just like, she's got, well, I won't end up with her anyway. Of course, so I'm in a taxi on my way home with this girl with a broken arm. And I'm thinking, Jesus, man. But it's all quite nice, except for the broken arm. She's a lovely girl. Very nice looking, good fun. We get back to the squat. I take her in my room. We have a chat, a few bifters. All right, there, do you want a few bifters? I got some Tamizepam in the jar. And this sort of thing's going on. And then we start having sex. Now, at the time, I was selling a lot of E's. And I said to her, do you want a pill? I think we'd had a couple out in Jerry's. So I've given her an E, and there's a bag of them by the side of the bed. Anyway, we're having sex. And to be honest with you, it's a bit rubbish because we're full of ecstasy and alcohol. And it's just rubbish. It's better to be straight to have sex. It was just a bit, and she's got this broken arm that she's trying to be sort of sensual with, and every time I'm sort of rubbing it, oh God, there's this fucking plaster there. And anyway, all this is going on. And then, like, she turns the lights off and we're sort of rolling around, and she puts an E in my mouth. She just sort of opens her mouth and she puts it in there, and I sort of swallow it, and she goes, do you like that? And I didn't really. Well, it was all right. I don't mind doing another E, but I'm thinking, it wasn't that sexy. To her, there was probably something sexy. Oh, yeah, I'll take the love drug. I never thought E's were the love drug. They were just the bullshit drug. I never bought it. Anyway, so she's put that in my mouth and we've carried on having a bit of sex. And then she's put another one in my mouth. She's clawed my fingers, pulled my mouth apart and popped another E in there. And so I've just necked that one and I thought, fucking hell, man, if this carries on, it weren't the money. I had about 1,000 of them, but I didn't want to keep taking E's on a Monday night. I must have done about 3 or 4 by now. And she's done it again. And then she said, she tried to put she's fiddling around my mouth and that, and I pulled away from her. And she went, do you want another one? And I went, well, all right, let's make this the last one. She went, all right then. But now she's sitting in front of me. She's gone, all right then. And she's put her finger into her arsehole, pulled out a little bit of plop, rolled it in her fingers, and put it in my mouth. And I realised at that point that the other 2, 3 or 4, still can't remember, E's, in inverted commas, that she'd put into my mouth, weren't. She was putting little bits of plop into my mouth. Have you ever cleaned your teeth so much? Have you ever cleaned your teeth so much? Let's ring Trevor Locke. Okay, so he doesn't know that I'm going to call him. He's in Peru at the moment. He's in Peru. Let's see if I can get this working. Trevor?
Hello?
Hello, Trevor. You're on my podcast.
Oh, crikey.
I told the listeners that you thought I should make a bigger deal out of the fact that I do it on my own and in one unedited cut.
No,
What?
And so now you're doing that and you're getting it. Ooh.
You're sounding like rubbish.
Oh no, and I am on the other side of the world and on a mobile phone.
Okay, and how's Peru?
It's lovely, really lovely. Yeah.
Trevor,
it's warm and cold and grey.
Warm and cold and grey, just like your Fornell.
Intestine. Yeah.
Intestine.
No.
Trevor.
Yes.
Now the podcast has run for quite some time. Can you check out for me in the usual way?
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure. And what's the usual way? I can't remember what it is.
I'm not telling you.
Okay. And a 1, 2,
No.
and a 1, 2, 3 for Chris Dangerfield.
That's not it.
He's marching up my hill.
That's not it.
And Chris Dangerfield waving goodbye round the corner on his own. We'll see you next week. Bye bye. We'll see you next week. We'll try. Is that it? Is that how it goes?
No, Trevor, it's see you later. Much later.